I lost 70 pounds in 9 months, and in May of 2024 decided to have a tummy tuck. And the reason why I had the tummy tuck was because the loose skin that was left after losing that much weight was impacting my workouts. There was a video of me running on the treadmill where I was fighting for my life trying to keep up my compression pants, and they were falling down around my tummy because that loose skin was just so squishy that it wouldn't hold up those compression pants. And that was the video that made me go kind of check out and see what my options were. I was hoping that I had a non-surgical option to take care of the loose skin. I went to a consultation with a plastic surgeon who ended up being my plastic surgeon, and he looked at me and said, "You don't have any non-surgical options." I wasn't convinced at that point in time that I actually wanted to have a surgery to remove the loose skin, so I didn't make a decision at that time. That was January of 2024. Fast forward to February of 2024, and I'm watching another video of me planking on the floor, and I actually had to sit up. I had to stop my workout, sit up, and tuck my loose skin back into my compression pants. I was doing planks on the floor. And when I played back this video, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I'm going to see the plastic surgeon again. And so that's exactly what I did. I had a second consultation with the plastic surgeon that I really liked. And at the end of that second consultation, I put down my deposit and set my date. So today I'm going to give you just some quick updates about how I'm doing 1 year post-op. Now, one of the things that people ask me about the most is my scar. So I will show my scar at the 1 year mark. And what I'll tell you is that I'm always a little hesitant about showing this scar simply because it is so low and it's so hard for me to be decent and show my scar. But this was one of the things that my plastic surgeon told me that he was going to do, and I wholeheartedly trusted him. But he said to me that he was going to place my scar as low as possible. And every time I saw him, he would draw on my body exactly where he was going to put this scar. And as you can see, he kind of hid it in the natural creases in my body. One of the reasons I selected my plastic surgeon was because he is a reconstructive specialist. His specialty is actually breast reconstruction. But when you're a reconstruction specialist, you kind of have to be a bit of an artist. And so he does phenomenal tummy tucks for that reason. So he was able to hide this incision in the natural creases of my body. And it was one of the things that I thought that, I was going to have a hard time with, is looking at this scar all the time. I don't even notice this scar. As you can see, it's healed quite nicely. I didn't do anything to my incision for the first 4 weeks. I was pretty taped up. At the 4-week post-op appointment, he removed all of the tape, and then I started using a scar fade that they sold in the office twice a day for 6 months. And so that was really the only scar care that I had for my incision, and this is how it turned out. I did have one drain that protruded out of the right side of my hip, and that scar healed nicely. They actually didn't even stitch that up. Once they pulled out the drain, they slapped a band-aid over it. It was a little tender to begin with, but it's not even tender anymore, and it healed quite nicely. So all in all, I'm completely happy with my scar. Same thing with my belly button. I didn't really have any high expectations for my belly button. I really just wanted to have one. And so my plastic surgeon pulled my existing belly button out of a new hole, and the only thing that I did to it as far as care was to use the same scar fade on my belly button as I did my scar, and I did that for 6 months. I didn't use marbles or plugs or anything like that. I really just didn't care what it looked like, and I've just been very happy with my belly button and the way that it healed as well. As far as recovery goes, I had a 6-week recovery, and during that period of time, I really didn't do a whole lot, but that's exactly what my plastic surgeon told me to do. Go home and sit on the couch. I couldn't do a whole lot of anything. I know a lot of people try to get around and walk and exercise and things like that. I could walk around, like I could walk around the house. I could walk around the grocery store. I could walk, if I needed to get back and forth to work. I could do things like that. But he didn't want me to do anything that looked like exercise because he didn't want to get my heart rate up. Because when you have your heart rate up and it's, pumping blood against that fresh incision, it's not a good thing. And so I just took his advice and did pretty much absolutely nothing for the first 6 weeks. At the 6 week post-op mark, he did release me to all activities. And so I started to run and strength train again. And I was very happy that I didn't have any complications because I was able to immediately go right into marathon training. At that point, I had 20 weeks to train for a marathon, and it was perfect timing. And so I was just really thankful that I had no issues whatsoever. I had no complications. I had no, my incision didn't open. I didn't have any type of wounds or anything like that. My recovery was pretty much uneventful. I did exactly what my plastic surgeon said, didn't do anything he told me not to do, and I was right back to full activities at 6 weeks. As far as numbness, I do still have numbness in my midsection area around my belly button and down to my incision. So much so that I'm very aware of my midsection. It's almost like contracting or holding your breath and walking around like that all day, but you're not holding your breath. There's just like always an awareness of my midsection, so much so that when someone gets close to me or try to touch me in that area accidentally, I'm always throwing up my hands kind of like in a defense mechanism. I'm just very aware of my midsection now. So there is still some numbness there. I don't know if it'll go away or not. I guess only time will tell. But here at the 1 year mark, it certainly is still quite numb. At this point, I don't really have any swelling that's actually related to the recovery. Most of my swelling was gone pretty much by the 3 month mark. I was quite flat. So much so that at the 3 month mark, my plastic surgeon was like, you really look like you're at the 6 month mark, because my swelling had just really gone down significantly. But I was eating super clean. At that time, I was training for a marathon, so I was drinking a lot of water. I was eating super clean, and I was training for this marathon, so I was getting in a lot of running. I was getting in a lot of exercise. And so I think that had a lot to do with the fact that my swelling had gone down significantly by the 3 month mark. One of the things that does come along with having a flatter abdomen is that any type of bloating that I do is much more noticeable. And that just simply means one day I will wake up as flat as a board, and the next day I will wake up and I will look 3 months pregnant. So much so that sometimes I've actually gone out and gotten a pregnancy test because I was convinced in my head that I was pregnant. That is how much of a difference it is from day to day. But I think that, a lot of that has to do with the fact that now I don't have the loose skin and that layer of fat there in the front in my midsection, and so it doesn't hide it. And it really has nowhere to go. When I'm bloated, I'm bloated. And it could be, anything from, what I ate the day before. It could be that I'm constipated. It could be sometimes that I'm dehydrated. It could be that it's that time of month. But whatever it is that makes me bloat from day to day, it is so much more pronounced. So much so that my midsection really does change shapes quite often. And sometimes it's maddening because I just simply don't know, oh my gosh, did I gain 10 pounds? Or is this just simply a little bloating and it will go down eventually? So it's really, a mind game, because my midsection, I can just kind of see those changes now much more and much more quickly than I could before the tummy tuck. At this point in my journey, I don't really have any issues with working out. I can run, I can lift over my head, I can do ab work. I will say that when I do ab work, I tend to be a little more sore and a little more aware of my midsection. It's almost like I can feel my muscle repair when I am heavy in ab work. But beyond that, I really haven't had any issues working out since about the 6 month mark. At the 6 month mark, I could actually get on the floor and do ab work, and from there it has pretty much been uneventful for me when it comes to working out. I didn't lose any actual weight as a result of the tummy tuck. I was 148 pounds going into the surgery. I got up to about 153 pounds, and then I kind of settled back around at about the 148 mark. And so I didn't lose any weight specifically as a result of the tuck. I did lose an additional 16 pounds because 6 weeks post-op, I started training for a marathon. And so I attribute my weight loss to actually, training for that marathon and increasing my mileage. But as a result of the tuck, no, I didn't lose any additional weight. I will say that I did lose a dress size. I was in a size 6 dress pants and I went down to a size 4 dress pants. And what I found is that, I'm still buying pants to fit my thighs and my backside, but it is always still really big in the front simply because I don't have anything there to kind of hold the front up. So I always have to wear a belt. So my clothes kind of don't fit exactly. It's almost like the people that make the clothes consider the fact that you're probably going to have a little midsection in the front to hold that up. And when you have a tummy tuck and you're flat as a board and you don't have that, then you just have that kind of extra room in the front of your pants. And so I always have to take that into consideration when I am buying clothes. One of the questions I get a lot is how much my tummy tuck costs and whether or not I went through insurance. My tummy tuck was about $12,500, which was in my mind actually pretty reasonable because I live in a very high cost of living area and I decided to stay local and go with the local plastic surgeon. I didn't go through insurance. My insurance company probably would have paid for it or would have paid a portion of it at least. Back when I had weight loss surgery, and this was 11 plus years ago, they actually talked to you back then about having plastic surgery. And because I had that surgery 11 years ago, they probably would have paid for a portion of my tummy tuck. But I didn't want to go through jumping through hoops of insurance to have them pay for it. I wanted to be able to select my own plastic surgeon and do it when I wanted to do it. And I just really didn't want to have to jump through insurance hoops to prove that, I needed to have the loose skin removed. I wasn't having any real issues with the skin other than the fact that it was just getting in the way of my workouts. Like I didn't have any rashes or wounds or anything like that some people have. And so, yes, sometimes insurance will pay for it. Again, especially if you're like a weight loss patient, you've done the surgery or the medicine or the injectables on your insurance, then sometimes they will pay for at least a portion of your tummy tuck. A lot of times what they'll pay for is to have the apron removed at the bottom, the apron overhang, and then you pay the difference to have the actual upper abdomen addressed, which is a true actual tummy tuck with muscle repair. And so yeah, about $12,500 was what my actual procedure cost, and I did pay cash out of pocket for it. So all in all, I would say that my tummy tuck has been a successful journey. I just had a phenomenal experience from start to finish, from consultation to post-op care. My plastic surgeon and his team were a phenomenal team. I am so thankful that I selected them to perform my surgery. And I really had a uneventful, pain-free, complication-free recovery. And I think that is all that I could ask for. At the 1 year mark, I am extremely, extremely happy with my results. And I know that at this point, it is up to me to maintain my results through continuing my good nutrition as well as my workout routine. And so I would definitely say that it has been worth it to me to have the tuck. I don't have to worry about that loose skin getting in the way when I am running or when I'm working out. I really felt like it was holding me back. I want to be a more competitive runner. I want to compete for age group awards. And, I just felt like I couldn't do that when, all the time when I was running, I was always fighting with my compression pants. I'm always, pulling up my compression pants because they wouldn't stay up around that loose skin. So getting rid of that loose skin has definitely been life-changing in that regard. It is something that I would say I am extremely happy that I did. It's one of the best things that I could have done for myself. And I would do it over and over again. Like, it has just been that type of life-changing experience. Now, there are some things that come along with it, and I'll talk about that in another video. There are some things to consider when having a tummy tuck, and there are certain things that you do have to deal with potentially for life. And so again, I'll talk about some of those things in an upcoming video. But for now, I'll say that at the 1 year mark, it has been quite a journey, one that I'm very thankful for. And one that I'm very happy with. If you have any questions about my tummy tuck experience and you want me to answer those questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And if it's something that I think needs another video, I'll be more than happy to do a video on it as well. So leave your questions in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. If this video has been helpful to you, take a moment and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't joined the community yet, take a moment and hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you here as part of the community. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.